Today I'm going to show you 3 beer cocktails that you can make at home to impress your guests at your next barbecue or party. Hello and welcome to another video on JD's Booze Reviews. We've had a bit of lovely summery type weather in the UK recently. It's definitely changed back to normal scheduled programming in the UK, but we did have a lovely bit of sunshine, and that got me inspired and got me thinking about cocktails, sort of summery drinks, and I thought, let's get a video together to show off some beer cocktails that you can make to soak up that summer sun whenever it decides to return. I'm going to show 3 recipes, kind of going up in difficulty, starting with an easy one that's sort of bare bones, getting a bit more complicated with the following one, and then a little bit more on the third. Not too difficult. If I can make them, you can make them. So let's crack on with the first one. And this one, I got inspiration from a beer glass. So I've had this glass for absolutely ages. Can't remember where I got it from. I think it was a birthday present. But on the side of the glass, there is a load of beer cocktails and sort of measuring and pour levels and all that kind of stuff on here. So the first one I saw is one I've not had before, and it's called a Brass Monkey. And should we go over to the mixing station and get it made? Okay, so here we go. So the Brass Monkey. So to make that, we need a chilled pint glass, which I have got right here. Just got that out of the fridge. We then also need some orange juice, which I need to get out of the fridge as well, but I forgot. We also need some wheat beer. So I've got Erdinger, and we need a dash of bitters, which I also have got. Then the orange juice, which I have now got. So first we need is 125 ml of orange juice. And over on the side here we have got some measurements, which is nice. So yeah, that's gonna do us. We then need to slowly top with 350 ml of beer. Not going to measure this one out too specifically, just going to do it nice and slowly, near enough to the top. That'll probably do it. And then we get the Angostura bitters, couple of dashes in there. Didn't really see that, but yeah, I did just add some in. Now, don't know if it needs to be stirred, it does not say that, but I'm gonna give it a stir up just to get everything mixed in. And I think that gives us cocktail number 1. Let's give it a try. Okay, so here we go with the Brass Monkey. So, definitely has that wheat beer aroma to it, sort of bananas, cloves, with a very nice citrusy orange aroma on it too. Very much like a Blue Moon type vibe, because you tend to get an orange slice with a Blue Moon, so I'm guessing that's kind of in a similar vein. So yeah, let's give it a try. Ooh, okay. So the orange juice definitely masks those Erdinger flavours. Definitely isn't as banana-y, clovey. There's still a little bit of that sort of clove spice there. it's kind of got this very familiar flavour that I can't quite work it out. It's kind of like a snowball. Is it a snowball that you have sort of Christmas time with orange, like orange champagne? It kind of has that sort of vibe to it. It's definitely kind of knocked out the wheat beer sort of flavour quite massively. That's not fully coming through as much as I would probably want. So next time I'd probably just alter the quantities and put a bit more wheat beer in as opposed to the orange juice, so I get a bit more of that flavour through. Not too sure what the bitters are adding. I've never really understood what bitters are for, because you only tend to add a few dashes of it, so it's never going to be a massively dominant flavour. But yeah, that is something I could certainly imagine me drinking on a lovely summer's day. It's really refreshing, really light. So yeah, a really good start with really simple, sort of straightforward ingredients. Nothing too chaotic. Your bitters that might be a bit more of the complicated one, but if I'm honest, I don't really know what they were bringing to the party. So just sort of an orange juice and wheat beer combo is probably good enough to get you by. Right, next cocktail, jumping up slightly, a bit more of a gear, a bit more steps, but we're going to do a spin on the classic mojito. So to make the take on a mojito, or should we call it a beer-hito, still working on the name. It is going to require 1 lime chopped. We're then going to need some spiced rum. And then we're going to need some fruity beer. I've gone for Juice Forsyth, which is a fruited IPA with pineapple and mango. So really getting them sort of tropical vibes in play. So, to make, oh, and of course, some mint. So in order to make the mojito, we're going to take some of the chopped lime. We're then going to take, in this case for one, it's just a 25ml of, give myself a little bit more, because I'm generous, of the rum. We are then going to give that a little muddle. I don't have a muddling stick, but I'm just gonna use the back of a spoon. I was tempted to splash out on a muddling stick, but I realised, you know what, if I'm going for trying to do this easily and simply in your home, then we've all got a spoon of some sort to muddle it up with. So yeah, that is, I'm gonna say, well muddled. We then are going to take our mint. We're just going to tear off a few of the leaves and then take it in one hand and essentially clap it just to sort of activate it. Sprinkle it into there. Then we're going to get our beer and we're going to gently add it in. About 330ml, this is a 400ml can, so I'm going to have a bit left over. And if you want to go fancy, you can add some garnish on the sides, but you know, why waste ingredients on garnish when, you know, you don't necessarily need to, especially with just me in my kitchen. But if you want to go fancy, then that is an option. So there we go. Let's give this one a stir as well. Yeah, I mean, it got pretty much shaken up whilst I was pouring the beer in, but I'll give it a shake up anyway. And there we have our beer mojito, or beerhito. So here we go, the beer mojito. Oh, it's a lovely smell in the aroma. That is, yeah, lime, mint, fruit juice, tropical juice. That is a very nice smelling combination. Yeah, that is very enjoyable. I can smell that juice forsyth. That is a very, very familiar smell. Right. That smells very much like, almost like rhubarb and custard like. Yeah, that smells like rhubarb and custard. That is smelling very, very, very lovely indeed. Right. Okay, that is, yeah, a little bit more complex, a little bit more interesting in flavour, as you can imagine from the previous. A little bit more steps here, a little bit more ingredients, a little bit more of a complexity to it, I suppose. Definitely getting that flavour from the juice forsyth, of that mango, pineapple goodness. Getting a slight, very slight, yeah, very slight sort of vanilla sweetness, which will be from the rum. Not getting that much mint, if I'm honest. I'm getting it on the aroma, very much so, but not getting it that much in the glass. Whether I should probably have chopped the mint up a little bit finer, ripped up a bit finer, got it introduced into the rum a bit more. Not sure, but I'm not getting a massive hit of that. But it's kind of the benefit with tasting things is a lot of the taste is from the smell. So I am getting a mintiness to it from just the aroma alone, because, you know, I've got mint leaves literally smack bang next to my nose. But on the flavour, not a massive amount, must be said. One thing I did mean to do is get a bit of ice in this as well. That would have helped as well. Did forget to add the ice. So just put a cube of ice in the glass. Make it a bit more nice and refreshing and chilled. It's still fine. I mean, everything I've had has come out of the fridge. The rum was out of the fridge. The beer was out of the fridge. The only thing that is lacking is the glass just isn't quite as cold as opposed to the first one where I left the glass in the fridge. That just added to that sort of refreshing nature of being nice and cold and chilled. So yeah, just add ice in just after you add the before you add the beer in. I feel like the mint is starting to come in a little bit more. It's definitely getting ingrained, getting infused into the liquid. But yeah, this is not sure which one I prefer. This one is definitely got some more interesting flavours and notes to it. Did really like the simplicity of the first one. Just, you know, bish bash bosh, there you go, enjoy. But yeah, this has got some really nice flavours, and I definitely add some, can tweak this and change this, maybe adding a bit more lime, maybe adding a bit of lime, squeeze the lime juice in to get that flavours in. Getting more of the mint flavour through. But yeah, from having a first crack at it, this is definitely something I would recommend. And something that is going to be going down rather nicely. I imagine when I get to this eventually, after the filming has wrapped up, and all the other drinks have been drank, this is going to have a very nice minty infusion within it. I can start to taste it coming along even more every sip I have on it. So maybe I needed to give it a few more claps before putting it in. But yeah, really good beer cocktail here. Now we're going to go a little bit of a step up, a couple more ingredients, a couple more steps, and we're going to go for a Campari IPA. Okay, so to make the Campari IPA cocktail, we're going to use our old friend rum again. Some spice rum here because that's what I've got to hand. White rum would also be a good option. We're going to use some Campari that you can't really see. They can't see the logo of, but some Campari. For the beer, we're going to go for a good old classic American IPA of a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. Any American IPA, or really any IPA will do. I just wanted the sort of American bitterness from the American IPA to help me with this. And a splash of orange juice, which is back again. So again, a bit more ingredients. We also have a little bit of an extra ingredient to add that I have forgot to get as well, which I've got now, and that is a handful of basil leaves. So first thing we are going to do is we are going to tear up the basil, just get that nice and torn. We'll add that to our glass. We're then going to get a 25ml of the rum. I can smell that basil, it's smelling amazing. 25ml basil. 25ml of basil, 25ml of the spiced rum. We're then going to crack open the Campari, which is quite bitter in itself. Another shot of that. So equal shots of rum and the Campari. We're then going to crack open the American IPA. So in this case, a Sierra Nevada. Even though, I don't know why I'd say it's an IPA. I've gone for the Sierra Nevada Pale. Obviously, a pale ale is not an IPA. I think there's kind of not that much really difference. Pale ales tend to just have a bit of finish, which is what I kind of wanted in this. We're just going to let that settle down a little bit before we finish off with a splash of orange juice. Right, so let's just add a splash of that in there. There we go. So the reason I wanted the orange juice in there is we've got quite a lot of bitter things going on here. We've got the basil, we've got the pale ale, we've got the Campari. So that nice sort of tropical finish, well, the sort of citrus finish is going to do wonders here. And there we go, that is the Campari IPA. Right, so the Campari IPA. Quite liking the look of this one, to be fair. It looks quite cocktaily, having sort of nice variance of colour throughout the glass, sort of darker colours, lighter colours. Definitely smells, yeah, quite peppery because of the basil. Not getting that much more in it, to be fair. Well, a little bit of sweetness coming from somewhere. Obviously, the glass is filled fairly high, so I'm not getting that much because there's not that much room for it to go. The glass is high at the top, but kind of running out of glasses at this point. Anyway, let's give it a try. Oh, yeah. That is bitter. Yeah, that is pretty heavy on the bitterness there. But to be fair, not hating it. Not hating it. That is, yeah. It depends what kind of cocktail you're into. Obviously, the ones before have been quite fruity and that kind of regard, citrus fruits. This is definitely a different ball game. Being on the bitter side, got quite a bitter pale ale, well, pale ale with a bitter finish. Got the Campari, which is quite bitter. So yeah, it's definitely the predominant flavours in this is going to be on the bitter side. Feels more sophisticated though in a drink. There's definitely a little bit more. Definitely a little bit more. I can't think of the word, but it feels a bit like. Well, the Campari being Italian, I think. Definitely has that sort of Italian aperitif, is it? Or the there's a really bitter drink that Italians have as like a palate cleanser, that kind of stuff. It feels very much in that sort of remit. It's yeah, definitely one to savour and to enjoy slower. I mean, as I'm getting down it more, I'm starting to get used to that. I'm starting to enjoy it a lot more. I'm starting to appreciate it better. Something I've not really ever had before in terms of a cocktail experience, or like how I normally would have cocktails. Normally, I'd go for sort of the more fruitier ones, the more tropical ones. But actually, this is pretty nice, and I wasn't sure what to expect from this, having quite all bitter sort of ingredients. But actually, yeah, I am liking this more and more. Obviously, if you want it a little bit more on the sweeter side, you can add more orange juice. I only added a little splash. Maybe next time I go slightly less on the pale ale and a bit more on the orange juice. Again, cocktails are great because you can adapt them and change them and tweak them. If you don't like it for the first time, or you think it could be improved in a way, you can add an ingredient, you can reduce, amend the quantities. So yeah, I would definitely probably add more orange juice for myself next time rather than just a splash. I think it's just a little bit too bitter for me, but I know there are drinks that are very bitter that people love. For some reason, I've got the sort of Aperol Spritz sort of vibe in my head, but I think I've never had that before, so I don't have that to compare. But I have a feeling that's on the sort of bitter side as well, but maybe I'm completely wrong. But yeah, that is. I'm being won over by it the more and more I drink it. So I think that's definitely got to be a win. Just something that my palate, I guess, has to sort of familiarise itself with and get used to. I do like bitter beers, but in terms of a cocktail experience, it's not something I'm really that all familiar with. So I think my brain is going, it's a cocktail, it should be fruity and sweet, and it's not, and it's throwing it through a bit of a loop. But actually I'm getting more and more down it, and I am starting to enjoy it more and more. So there we go. We have just had 3 very nice cocktails, 3 enjoyable cocktails, 3 very different cocktails, from the, sort of 2-3 ingredient one at the start to a 4 or 5 ingredient one at the end. And you could obviously go even further with that, from tweaking it and enhancing it. So yeah, feel free to take these ones that I've shown you, add something, change something, and yeah, let me know what you would improve in the comments down below. So I've just added a bit more orange juice to this, just to see what it was like. I drank a bit, had room in the glass, and gave it a go. And yeah, it's definitely made it not as bitter. There's a bit more subtlety to it. It's definitely changed the game, and I actually think this is a little bit more my cup of tea now. Definitely still got that bitterness, but it's not quite so overpowering. So that's going to do it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Hopefully these recipes have inspired you and something you're going to make when the occasion arises. So don't forget to subscribe to see future videos. And if you did like this video, give it a like, give it a comment, and maybe I'll do another one. So all I can say now is cheers.